Today is the day. I'm just waiting on Gabriela. There we go.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know it's been so long. Thank you for taking the time to do this. This is amazing. I,
No,
I
thank
wish
you
we.
for having me.
This is so funny. I feel like I haven't talked to you in like a year. Like this is the first time we've talked again since like I don't even remember.
Has it
But
been a year?
it's been a while. How's your anniversary weekend?
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
great. I mean, we had a virtual party, obviously, because where I am in Puerto Rico, we're
Yeah.
still, closed. What about you guys? You guys are doing better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's actually it's almost easing up too quickly over here, and I'm just taking a few extra days or weeks to kind of lay low. I don't need to go out, but yeah, I heard in Puerto Rico it's a little different. So
Yeah, it's different, but we made the best of it. We had a little party in the hotel room and, we did
nice,
what we could. So,
awesome, awesome.
yeah. So I'm so excited. Nick, just a fun fact for everyone, and I'll introduce myself so you know who I am and it's not so random. But
Okay,
just a fun fact, we used to live a couple blocks away from each other in New York City. I used to see you all the time at the gym, and I was a client for a while with model trainers. And then we just moved, right? We moved out of the city and we disconnected for a bit. But I've always been in touch, especially with Sean. So,
of course, of course. It's like I don't know if you feel the same way. I hope you do, but like people that I've met in the city are like family to me. So it's really great to still have this friendship. So this is awesome. Thank you.
yeah, I'm very happy. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself just so people know who I am. My name is Gabriela Berrospi, and I'm known as Gaby Wall Street because I'm the founder of Latino Wall Street. It's an educational platform where we educate people about the stock market from scratch. So if you're a beginner, you don't know what a stock is, we literally teach with apples and pears. So we make it very fun and simple. We mostly teach in Spanish. However, we do have bilingual coaches who can do some one-on-one sessions in English as well. I'm also in the Forbes Finance Council, where I have my own finance column. Basically, it's an expert panel, and we publish articles and things like that. So Nick and I reconnected because he's been investing in the stock market, and he's had some amazing results. And when I hear stories like this, I always like to share them because a lot of people think this is not real, which still blows my mind away. Wall Street's real, the stock market's real. But a lot of people think that you need to have decades of experience to have a good result. And you're the perfect example that that's not
No
true.
experience at all.
So everyone wants to know, how did you decide, right, to just get started? Did you just randomly walk us through that journey that's so scary for most but exciting for the ones who do great?
Right. So you're honestly, I used Robinhood, the app, once, and it was because I got a tip from somebody that Shopify was going to be good stock, and we bought it at like $70. It was like really cheap, 100, but whatever. It was a low stock, and now if you look at it today, I wish I held on to it because it's nearly $800 a stock. So it's like I dabbled. I didn't really make out that well because I had no idea what I was doing. Sold my stocks, made like a few $100s, and then I stopped using it completely. And then March, rolls around and it's getting bad, like with everything happening, whatever. And I remember where I was. I was in the Dominican Republic, and I got a text message from a girl that I'm dating, and she's like, "Hey, you should look at Texas Roadhouse stocks." And I'm like, "I'm gonna do that." So I started looking into it, and it was like down like 50%, and like usually it's worth like 80, and it was worth 40. So I'm like, or whatever it was. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna buy a few. So before buying, I started to just get, I'm obsessive, like my personality. It's like once I find something that's kind of interesting, I just start to like kind of you know, have fun with it. So
Mhm.
I started to look at different restaurants. I'm like, what's my favorite restaurant? I don't really, Texas Roadhouse, like maybe like top 5, but like, let's get real. So I found Darden Restaurants, which owns all these different restaurants. It's this huge company, and it was at like $20. It was like 20 something bucks. So at the 54-week low, and usually it's $120 stock. So
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
this looks promising, you know. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's 15,000 employees, this, that, whatever. They're already implementing, you know, ways to cut back costs. I'm trying to do my research, but I'm still naive, and I dump all my money into that. And I put like like five, like, you know, a couple thousand, not too much, like not like hundreds of thousands. And then I just
Mhm.
kind of just put it there. And then a few days went by, and I started to see that go up a little bit, and I'm like, I started to make money. I'm like, oh, stocks aren't bad. I'm like, this could work. So I started to do like my research, and I have a list I can share with you guys if you want. I'm really public about it. Like, trade at your own risk. Like, I'm like, trust me, like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. But what I started doing was I started to hoard, like, I think it's the best word, is to hoard all the stocks I could find at a 54-week low or near, or like close to. So like, I went through and I found like Six Flags, you know, the Cheesecake Factory, you know, a few different like amusement parks, airlines. Even like towards the end, I found some low, and I bought into like almost like 30 stocks, and they were,
30. Wow.
yes, yeah. So I went from one stock to like, and I didn't, trust me, I'm telling you right now, I did not put 5,000 in each stock. It was like a couple bucks here and there. I was trying to be smart with it, and I came across 30 different, maybe it's 20, but it's like it's a lot. I got a list, and so yeah, I mean, everything went up. So my portfolio went up 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
when was this? Was this recently or was this like a few months ago? When did you get started?
I started like March, like mid-March,
Oh,
and it's April,
wow.
May, June. Is it June?
So
Yeah.
in the middle of the crash, you
Yeah.
started right when it crashed,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
because March was the crash.
With my eyes closed, had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, oh, I'll take some of these. I'll take some of these. I'm just like, whoa, like just buying these stocks, and I got lucky. There was always like a little reason, but it was like a feeling. That's how I bought it. I did not look at numbers. I wasn't looking at like, I know you're like the guru to like this. There's like a mathematical like equation behind
Formula.
it,
Yeah.
formula, and I had not used that, and I'm so eager. I pulled out all my stocks because I'm, like I said, I'm naive. I made the money that I wanted. I'm happy. Now I want to get educated, and I want to work with the best, and I'm so glad that we can at least have this time to I want to learn a few things. So
Yeah,
I want
absolutely. I took some notes about what you said because I think it's important to emphasize a couple of points. I know you said that, you know, you're a beginner, that you didn't know what you were doing, but you actually had a strategy. That's when you identify something that works, for example, buying at a 52-week low, and then you replicate that and apply it to your next investments. So actually that's very, very smart, because in trading and in finance, it's all about identifying something, making sure it works, having an actual result, obviously first, and then replicating that over and over. Of course, there's more advanced stuff, but I always tell people to focus on fundamental analysis. That's when you do, it's kind of like an X-ray for a company, right? You go on Yahoo Finance, you look at their documents, you look at their income statement, at their cash flow, you look at the volume, which is the daily transactions that go on during the day in the stock market. You look at all these different factors, that there's P ratio, earnings per share. There's like a lot of stuff you can look at, but not to get crazy, right? Just a fundamental analysis. And then based on that, you can make more informed decisions. So you looked at one, right? Just at the 52-week. But even that, I think it's very, very smart, because you were not going in blindly. Like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. You at least identified something and then replicated your result.
do you mind if I just add like two things, or one little thing, because I want your opinion. A lot of people are telling me like, don't invest in the penny stocks, and you know, there's like a certain, maybe like a sweet spot. I, however, did not have this conversation before I invested, and I bought everything where I saw the multiplier effect, because I'm not doing dividends or options, or I actually learned that word like last week, so it's very new to me. But I know. But so anyways, but with my method, apparently I had a method. I wanted to see how many times I could multiply like the earnings. So I bought a 50-cent stock, and it turned to $1.50. So it tripled my earnings. I bought a couple, like a few of them, and it tripled it. And then I just saw the Darden was at 20, and it goes up to 120. So I just saw 6 flat. So that's another. If anybody's watching, maybe this could be something simple to try. If
you mean like buy a really cheap stock and then wait for it to go up? Well, let me ask you something. Are you monitoring, like, how are you doing this? Are you making the transactions automatic where if they reach a price they sell, or are you constantly checking to see what's going on?
I'm constantly checking it. Yeah. And it's funny because like once you check it every single day for like 2 months, you'll learn 2 things. One, like once in a blue moon, like one random thing will either do that or this, and you're like, holy cow, I did not see that. But for the most part, you almost get a feel for it like it's your neighborhood. You kind of know it. You start to learn the stock. So it's like, and it's easy. It's not like, it doesn't hurt to like learn it. It's like you just watch it, and then over time you're just like, oh, like that's just how the stock typically acts. Am I right? Is that some, or is it always changing because of like, because I do read every single article as well. So like if anything comes out with anything, I'm always like trying to read it. Like, so I do try to be educated with my guesses. It's not like totally blind.
Right. I like that you're informed. There will always be fluctuations. We just have to learn to identify the facts, right, from the rumors, because there's always a lot, especially with big companies like Facebook got into a lot of trouble recently. Zoom got into this whole drama about their security, the passwords with users. So all these big companies, the bigger you are, the more drama and all these things. It's like, what else is new? But we have to identify what are the literal facts from what's just a rumor, right? So you have to really learn, like being informed is great, but you can't just absorb all this type of news. You really have to distinguish what matters. And I always tell my students, what matters are the reports, the numbers, the earnings. Like, give me numbers, actual results. I don't care what this person said, might have, like, that's just a hypothetical, and we don't engage in hypotheticals or on opinions. We invest based on facts and documents and reports.
Got it. Okay. Are these facts, documents, and reports, are they like in plain sight to people, for people to use, or is it something, is there research involved, or how does that work?
So that's a great question. For your company to be in the stock market, you have to be a public company, which means your documents, your income statements have to be public to your investors or potential investors, right? So let's say you and I, we don't invest in Facebook yet, but we're interested, so that makes us potential investors. Well, what's great is that we can go right now, access Facebook's income statements, their cash flow. We can check and see how much money they make 5 years ago, 4 years ago, last year, last quarter, how's their cash flow, how their expenses. I can look at their P ratio, earnings per share, the volume, the 52-week. Like, I have so many things I can study before I invest $1. And that's why investing in public companies is great, because if you do your research, you're investing based on facts and on research, not on, oh, I think this is gonna, like, it's not a guess, you know, it's like a well-informed, educated guess, for lack of a better word.
That sounds so much better to know.
No, there's so much to learn. And another thing I wanted to point out before I forget is that you diversified, and those are basics, right? But I always like to emphasize that, because you have no idea how many people I've met who get so excited about one company and put all their eggs in one basket. And that's the rule number 1. You have to diversify. Now, I'll give you a tip. I don't know about 30 stocks. That's not something I recommend.
Sorry about that.
That's a bit much. You want to, why? Because you want to be knowledgeable on these companies and up to date, and 30 companies are going to drive you insane.
It
So
kind of did.
ideally, you want to have like 5, right? Especially if you're getting
Okay.
started, and you can be an expert. But if I have like 30 companies or 100, like I'm not gonna be an expert in anything. So it's hard to be on top of it, and it's hard to track it.
You know, it's funny you say it, and like it all kind of dawned on me as you're saying. I'm like, wow, I was unorganized. Like if you have 5, like just targeting, you have like the mathematical equation right behind you, backing up every move you make. That feels so much better, because I was kind of just like,
yeah. And I also liked another thing you shared is that you were investing in different industries, you know. So as we know, the technology sector has been booming, right? Higher than ever, breaking all the records. So if you've been in technology stocks, if anyone has been in technology stocks, they've been making a lot of money, because the whole sector has just been exploding. And obviously, right, because we're all using technology more than ever. However, you mentioned like entertainment, restaurants. What else did you say? Like media or something? Right?
Everything, yeah. I had some media, airlines, I had cruise lines, amusement parks. I had everything. I had, yeah, pretty much everything. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I had this like sinking feeling in my stomach when I bought the airlines and the cruise lines, and I was like, this is the wrong idea. Don't do it. But like, I just did it anyways. And like, if you guys followed it at all, last Friday was like insane. I think I sold it the day before, so I still did well, but it was like everything went up, and I'm out, and now I want to get educated and work with you, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
I don't want that sinking feeling.
I'm so excited we reconnected, because I know you want to learn about options, so we can do like a little intro, and so people, you know, get value and learn a couple things, couple tips. Now let's do a little test. Tell me what you think options are, or what you've heard about them, and then I'll tell you what they are.
Really? Okay. So, okay, I feel like there's like a spelling bee, but it's not. So if you're gonna buy like a put stock, that means that you want the market to go lower, and you want to set an expiration date to where it makes sense. And then if you, I watched my videos this morning. I was on YouTube trying to like, I don't want to be completely, and then can I cheat and actually pull up the options, because it's right here?
Yeah, of course you can cheat.
Right, so it's I think it's like strike. Let's see. It's so funny. I had to actually I didn't realize whenever you use Robinhood and you want to do options, you have to unlock a special feature. I don't know if you use Robinhood or if you use anything else. Do you recommend anything?
Well, I personally, we work with 2 platforms. The Ameritrade has a Thinkorswim that's more professional, and the Interactive Brokers is great too, especially if you're international. For you, it would be Thinkorswim or TD Ameritrade. Robinhood is great, but it's an app. You know, it's not like a professional platform, so it's a little better to have the complete one.
Okay. And then if you buy a call, then it goes up to at least what you call it by the expiration date, then you make money.
Yes. No, that wasn't bad at all. You are actually correct in what you want the stock to do, right? So if you buy a put, I always like to make the fun analogy, because I like to make things simple. It's like buying an insurance. So I have health insurance. When I pay for my health insurance, I'm not sure if something's going to happen to me. I might not go to the doctor, and I might just pay my health insurance, and I guess I lost that money because I didn't use the benefits, right? The doctors or whatever. So when you buy a put, you're basically saying, I think something bad's going to happen to the market or to the stock. You can do it in a
right before you get sick. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like you're anticipating something. Okay. Now, if something happens and that stock you bought a put and that stock drops, then your contract, you know, it gets value. So then you'll make money. But if not, then you lose that money. But what I like to tell people is that just think of it as buying an insurance, right? Like if you don't go to the doctor, then you lost the money
You
you
don't
pay
get
for health
equity
insurance.
right?
Yeah, I guess you can think of it that way, or you can think of it as like, I bought like peace of mind, like I think something bad's gonna happen. Another fun way of doing it is a tip, something I like to do. If I have 100 shares of Apple, then I buy one put for Apple, because if the stock market goes up, my shares benefit. If the stock market goes down, my put of Apple benefits. So no matter what happens to Apple, I'm covered from both angles. And why do I buy one put if I have 100 shares? Because how options work are 100 shares is equivalent to one contract. So if I had 200 shares of Apple, I would buy two contracts, two put contracts, and whatever happens to Apple, whether it goes up or down, I'm making money. So that's like a strategy I like to apply when I own shares. But here's the crazy thing. You don't have to have shares to buy puts. You can literally just buy puts without owning the shares.
Just the contracts, you're saying, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. That helps clarify. Okay, cool. And then you can also sell it too, right? So there's a selling side. I mean, you don't. If you want to lead it, I'm sorry. I'm getting.
Yeah, no, it's fine, because there's a lot to cover, and I'm trying to do it in a way that would make sense if this is the first time someone, because I know you've been watching some videos and stuff. Maybe there's people that they have no idea what the hell we're talking about. So
if I didn't watch, it's clicking because I've been told by my friend and I watched the video, so I have like two, like, it's kind of my brain a little bit, and I'm looking at it right now. Oh, I shouldn't have. Oh, there's nothing there. Okay. Oh, there's like personal stuff, but no, we're good. I'm like, it's live, so you can't
yeah.
Over.
That's
all right, cool.
funny.
And then I have one question about the expiration date. Do you always do 7 days, or do you like to change when the contract ends? Because you can do that, right?
Yeah. So right now we're talking about buying options. Like we just did the example of buying puts. It's a world of a difference when you're buying options or selling. Right now we're talking about buying. If you buy a contract that expires that same week, that Friday, it's risky. Okay. I'm not saying you can't make money. You can actually make a lot of money, because buying options is like buying time. The longer the expiration date, the more you have to pay. So it's kind of like health insurance. If I buy health insurance for a year, it's going to cost more than if I buy it for a couple of days, right? It makes sense. So you're going to pay a lot less. It's going to be very cheap if you just buy a put for the same week expiration. However, it's very risky, because if it doesn't move in your favor, then it expires and that's it. You lost the money. Right? Mm-hmm. Now there's something called stop loss. Huh?
Oh, I'm gonna stop talking.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I get too excited too. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there a way to end the expiration date early? If you're in the lead, let's say it's in your favor day 5, and then day 7 it ends. You can actually end it on 5.
Absolutely, you can get out.
Cool. Okay.
But this is where it comes, like this, where I ask people, right? Are you gonna have the lifestyle availability where you're gonna be tracking, monitoring, or you can actually set up automatic exits. So if I'm making 20% of my money, get me out automatically, or a stop loss. If I'm losing, if it went the other way, I'm losing 20% of my money, get me out and give me my 80% cash back. So there are ways we can work if you're very busy, or if you just want to, sit all day in front of a computer, you can do that as well. So some people get addicted and they love it and they're there literally all day, but you don't have to. You just want to pick, so just to answer the question, you just want to pick a day that you're comfortable with. So if you're very comfortable with what you paid, let's say you're only your bet is only $100, like you don't really care that much, that's fine. But I normally suggest that your expiration is at least a couple weeks, because you want to have some time if something crazy happens. Like you really don't just want to be so tight, unless you're day trading. Then you're going to be buying the same day or same week expiration.
Okay, that actually helps a lot, because I did not know any of that. The videos did not help me with that. So.
Yeah, videos are great for theory, but sometimes when you want to apply what you're learning, the practice and all of that, it's it's different, you know? Like what I always tell people is that people always come to me and they're like, I want to make money, I want to make money. Like, what stock should I get into? What strategy? And I'm like, calm down, first of all. Okay. And second of all, let's talk about your goals and your plan and develop a strategy and share with me what you want money for. Like, are you desperate for money, whereas you need money like to eat? Then you shouldn't be investing. Okay. Because I don't want you to put money you literally need. Okay. That's one. Two, do you have a special occasion like a wedding in 1 year? Because then we can develop a strategy that will make you the most money in a 1 year period. Or do you need money for next month? Or do you just have money in the bank that's sitting there making 0.01% and you want to put it to work? Like, what are your goals? What's your situation? That's the questions that I want people to ask themselves more so than what stock or what industry. First, write down what you're trying to accomplish. And then with that information, we can develop a strategy that's customized to the person.
Okay. Well, that sounds really awesome. So that's great. Because I'm like thinking like right now, like you're right, it would be a full-time job, and I already have like me just like watching stocks and then actually actively buying options is probably a little different. So this is a whole new world. But I'm actually really excited to learn this stuff. So
you're gonna learn, Nick, and you're gonna learn from the best. I was in a meeting today with market makers from Wall Street, and they speak English. They're very excited to participate, collaborate, teach their knowledge, which I'm so grateful for. That people like that really don't need to share anything, but just the fact that, you know, that we're going through what we're going through, there's this feeling of just, you know, let's just put together all of our knowledge and share it because people need it, and it can make a huge difference. I've seen transformations, I've seen, you know, miracles from this work, and a lot of people think it sounds too good to be true. I'm not saying that overnight, you know, you're gonna go double your portfolio like Nick did, but I'm saying if you are smart, if you're responsible, if you learn and you apply what you're learning based on a strategy, not just randomly, and you're well informed, then you can make a lot of money.
Makes sense. I mean, it's called investing, not like liabilitying. Like you are investing, and if you do it the right way, you're the right person. So that does make sense. Thank you. No, this is like I'm like amped up. I'm like it's getting late, and I'm like I might work out after this. Like, wow, it's cool. No, for real though, this is like exciting and actually something to look forward to learn something new, you know?
Yeah. So it's new for most people, and whoever maybe didn't understand this term so much, I just wanted to say that it's not your fault. The school system does not include this type of material, and for me that's crazy, because I think it's so important for us to be educated in finance, and forget options and stocks for a second, but how to prepare for a crisis, how to prepare for a recession, how do I diversify the money I have, how do I not get left behind, right? These are things that they don't teach us in school, so the school system is screwed up, and that's something that I do about, right? My movement says like it's enough, we're gonna transform the school system, we're gonna make a huge difference, and people need to start getting together and making or joining these movements. Otherwise, you know, we're gonna have a repeat scenario where people are having so many financial problems and we wonder why. Well, maybe we should take a look at the system that they're not teaching us this, and why wouldn't they if there's so much money to be made, you know?
That's a valid point. Definitely.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny, like if you had anything to say with like the school systems, like everybody's gonna be like investors, and it'd be a different world as well. But
it'll be a different world. Yeah, and I think maybe there's some like weird stuff that maybe they don't want people to all be experts, because then it's like, then the finance industry, what will be the point of the finance industry? You know, we're all experts, like they wouldn't have jobs. So there's some like weird stuff for sure behind all of that, but that's not for us to you know, get crazy about. We just want to make a difference, and we want to empower people to learn and, you know, to make money from home, especially now that so many people are at home. Is the perfect opportunity to just do it, you know. And I know the food thing probably sounded kind of confusing, but I always use metaphors like the one I used. And the call is the opposite, you know. That's when you want a stock to move higher and then you pick a price, and it's similar but opposite. I don't want to confuse people more. But yeah, like if you want to learn, you also have to be very, very sure about what strategies you're going to learn. I've noticed that people try to learn everything all together, and sometimes that's good depending on your ability, but sometimes it's not, because you get confused. So that's why it's better sometimes to go step by step, strategy by strategy, and, you know, just replicate what works, because life is really simple. Like once you have good results, you just replicate that result, but there has to be a formula behind it.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, I think you agree. There's so many different ways to invest and play with stocks, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Maybe I'm making it too much, but I'm hearing about how there's like playing the wheel, and then there's like different like sayings. It's like, and it's not a bad thing either. All it means is like you find a system that works for you. And like, you know, you might figure out that buying puts works for you with a certain stock, and that's fine. That's your system. And I guess, I mean, ultimately, I guess it'd be just the best thing to learn all the strategies like from somebody educated like you, and then kind of figure out what to do from there. So I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
First, but
you can definitely learn all the strategies, but what I wouldn't recommend is like learning all and trying to apply all at the same time. You might want to stick to like the theory first, make sure you understand that, and then second step would be like figuring out what you feel more comfortable with, because it's also based on personality. Like me, for example, I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not someone who's like making crazy trades day in, day out. I'm just, that's not my personality. I do more conservative trades that are more selling calls, selling puts. You do need a little bit more money, because you need to actually buy 100 shares, right? Whereas with the other ones, you don't need to buy the shares. So you can do it very little money. So it also depends on your funds and stuff. But I feel the most comfortable with that because it's based on my personality. But you might be a little bit more aggressive, and for you that might not work so well. You might want to stick to buying calls. So it's like there's no perfect way of investing. That's what I like to tell people. Nobody has the universal truth. You have to find what works best for you, but you obviously have to learn first how the strategies work.
Right. Okay. Well, that all makes sense. So don't do 30 stocks at once, and don't do every type of strategy at once.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Okay.
Like anything, step by step. It's just like you, right? When you have a client and, you know, we've worked out before, right? Like you don't send me to do like 300 pounds. Like you can't. I have to go step by step and accomplish my goals. And I'm sure you have people who show up and are like desperate and they want to do everything, but you have to tell them, calm down. You're not going to get there tomorrow. You just have to, you know, put in the work, understand it, apply it, and the results will come eventually. Now, the stock market does have like lottery type of trades where you can literally just do a few clicks and make tons of. I'm not saying that can't happen, but I don't like to promote that, because then people come with expectations that like, oh, I'm just gonna go and make $1 million. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I just like to emphasize that those are more exceptions.
That makes sense. All right. Well, thank you again for everything. I'm trying to think if I had any other questions for you. I guess my question would be, if I wanted to take a class with you, how would we go about doing that?
Yeah, how does that work? So I offer one-on-ones, right? And that's basically what you could do with my company, because we do have courses, we do have day trading chats, we do have all of this stuff, but they're in Spanish. So for English speakers, what we offer is just one-on-ones, right? Because we don't have course material in English. However, we'll be creating it because we have a partnership now with market makers from the New York Stock Exchange. And we're very excited about it because we will be having content in English, and also it will be translated for our Spanish speakers. But you can, you know, start now with a one-on-one. We can meet up, get together, and you can also participate when we come up with our content with these guys. So I'm very excited.
Cool. That's awesome, by the way. That opens up like a lot for you to be able to like help more people. So that'd be cool. But I'm gonna definitely sign up for your one-on-one class. So after this, I'll message you.
Yeah, let's do it. It'll be fun. And just another fun fact, you mentioned Shopify. I got into Shopify when I was working out at the gym with Sean. We both got in when it was like $100.
Yeah. It's probably the same time where all three of us were like, okay.
We got in. We just bought shares. No trades, nothing fancy. Just shares, that's it. And I got out when they hit 400 and then 500. It was in the middle of the crisis. I didn't see it going to 800. That, I have to say, that really shocked me. And I have to share, I was very upset because to get out at 400 and then have it go to 8, it's like, it's not good, but it's great. Like, I have to be grateful, obviously, because I did make a lot of money, but not as much as I could have.
Darn, huh? Can I tell you one that kind of upset me a little bit? Remember that 50-cent stock that I told you about? I had almost 5,000 shares, and it went up to, after I sold it, it went up to like $3, and I sold it at like I said, $1.50 or something, or $1.25 or $1. It was like $1.16 to actually be specific. I remember. Yeah, so I was like, if I waited like, you know, maybe another month, but everyone's gonna make that mistake. And I learned not to like look back, because it did mess up like 2 days where I was kind of like, that was my only mistake I feel like I made through this whole thing. So I forgive myself, but I don't want anyone else to get discouraged. If you guys start with this, like, you will make a bad trade and you're going to be like, wow, that was not a good, just take it back to the books, maybe try to learn something new and get back at it, because it ended up being rewarding for me. And I'm sure, Gabriela, you could say you've probably changed a few people's lives as well. So
yeah, it's a learning experience, Nick. It's just like with training, right? It's actually a very good metaphor. It's like, if I fail, if I don't get results in a couple of weeks, yeah, I can give up, but why would I do that? I can just keep going, keep trying. And the winners are always going to be the ones who don't give up. So I think that applies to any industry. It's so easy to get intimidated, to be pissed off if something doesn't go off your way, to want to blame others, the president, the coach, that's people just want to blame someone when something doesn't go. I mean, it's human and I get it, but we're not going to get anywhere that way. We have to take ownership and responsibility and say, you know what did I miss? Because there's always something I'm missing when I don't get the results I want. Something I'm missing, not you, my teacher, Donald Trump. No, there's always something that I could have done better. And part of improving yourself is identifying that and being able to put that in place for the next time. That's the only way we can get better in anything. If you're always looking outwards, then you're always going to be a victim, unfortunately.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? This has been great. I think, one thing I didn't want to forget. You mentioned penny stocks. I didn't address that. Personally, I don't invest in penny stocks. I think they're extremely risky. Penny stocks are basically like a lottery ticket. You can make tons of money. There's tons of people who have become millionaires from penny stocks because you buy things at cents, and that company can get discovered. Yeah, I can do a partnership with another company, a star company can shoot. It's happened.
people have made millions of dollars from it, so it's real. I don't want people to think that I'm saying it's bullshit. It's not. That's not part of my strategy personally, because I'm very clear on what works for me. But I don't recommend it. I just wrote an article on Forbes about penny stocks that I'm basically telling people there's something called risk reward ratio, and for me it's not worth it. You know, I like to stick to the winners. I always tell my students, I know what the top people in the world are investing in because that's public information. I like to be on their team, on their side, not on someone who's trying to get discovered. It's worth cents. For me, that's not the way I invest.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you for clearing that, because I did not know at all. Yeah, I was just like, oh, this looks good. I was like, it's going like this, and I'm just gonna buy right here. I just got lucky. But
There's always something to learn, and you know what you reminded me of? That I was actually supposed to do a class with Michael. With Michael Dean. Yeah, I just remember that now that we're talking about this. I was like, wasn't I supposed? But that's when I lived in New York, and then, you know, we got disconnected. But it's so funny because maybe I'll shoot him a message and say this conversation also reminded me of him when he wanted to learn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Michael, he's very smart with numbers. I feel like he would actually do really well. Like, I feel like that would be good for him to learn. And actually, while we're talking, a good friend of mine, Nick Topol. Do you know who Nick Topol is? He's like with the model trainer team. You might have seen
I feel
him
like I met him once, maybe.
Okay.
Was I a client when he was hired or no?
He's based out of Ohio. So he
Oh,
was
so he's
like,
never
New
been
York
here.
City. Yeah,
Oh,
he does a lot of the online training stuff, and like he's like the head trainer for that. And so you must have not met him. Anyways, do you mind if I get you guys into contact? Because he's like, I told him about how I'm working with you, and he went on your Instagram, and he's like, oh my, like he's into stocks, so he realizes how big of a deal it is. So do you think I could connect you both? Would that be okay?
absolutely. And you know what, Nick, I don't believe in coincidences. I literally had a meeting today with the New York Stock Exchange guys I was telling you about, and we're creating content in English. And at this exact time, you guys just show up in my space again. And it's like, hey, let's learn stocks while I'm about to create all this content in English. Like, this is not, I believe in science. I'm very spiritual. But of course, I'm always happy to talk. It's my passion. I get very excited. And I love to make things simple and not intimidating. So that's something you can share with people.
Yeah, absolutely. You are awesome, for real.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was super fun reconnecting. I'm sure we'll be in touch. And if people have questions, you know, they can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer.
Awesome. Thanks again. All right. Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Gabriela,
Take care.
you're amazing.
Bye. Thank you.